Nico.
How do you do? Hello.
Good morning. And the thing that interests me, who cares about this microphone bit that doesn't seem to be functioning. Yesterday morning on the news, on the PBM news, it was mentioned that some group in their experimentation were able to exceed the speed of light, which would refute Einstein's basic theory. I'm wondering if you think it's possible for something like that to occur, to be able to exceed the speed of light?
Well, no, I think it's very unlikely. You might be able to exceed the speed of light for very short periods of time. But let's say it's highly unlikely.
Okay. To follow up on that, how would they be able to do this, do you think? What process would cyclotron, what, since I understand at one time you were involved with Fermi Lab, how in the world would they be able to even try this experiment?
Well, you would always try it because you're trying. The speed is not a crucial issue in all this. Speed isn't the key to everything. You see, so most of the time when you're doing science, if testing the speed of light is your main goal, first of all, you'd pick a sunny day, but it's very unlikely that you would be able to succeed. It's just extremely difficult to get up to speeds of that kind.
Yes, I can imagine. Is it done in some kind of circular? How do they begin to generate that?
Well, I don't know the data. I've never seen the data, but what you're saying is a good question. You would say, what would you do? How would you go about it?
Yes, that's what fascinates me.
Yeah. And the problem always is the faster you go, the more energy it takes to go a little bit faster, and that's the problem.
But I'm sure, since, like I say, we just mentioned yesterday, there'll probably be something in some scientific magazines or what have you on this. So right, in the next few months, what have you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Bob Otten. Oh,
Nice
hi.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Beautiful day.
Do you mind signing?
No. Especially if you have a pen. Hi, how are you?
Could I take a picture with you?
1, 2, 3. His finger is over the lens, but that doesn't matter. Hi. Come here. Have a seat.
Good.
Okay. Stay dry.
I'm trying to stay dry, you know. They want to take a picture. Oh, my hair. So I work at Argonne. So.
Okay.
Controls and computing
Do
guy.
they pay you well enough?
Well, I'm a part-timer now, you know. I used to do the controls and computing for APS. You know, Mr. Epics and all that stuff. Anyway, what about this new neutrino finding?
What neutrino finding?
Where CERN has said they think they've seen some neutrinos going faster than light.
No. I don't know who they are, but I would be
Minos experiment.
very skeptical about some report somewhere that somebody is doing something. You know, be very skeptical.
Okay. Good. Okay. Well, that was my question. It wasn't. I was out in Fermi. What's that?
I said we're successful.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question that's been bugging me, okay? And it has to do with Einstein. I guess he's credited with a thought experiment where you put a particle on a tower, you let it drop, okay? And it has some rest mass. It comes to the ground, so now it has its rest mass plus kinetic energy. And the idea is, well, you have a magic wand, you convert it into a photon, and it, heads back up to the tower. All right. Okay. Well, I can show you the book in schutz, okay? But you convert all that energy, and the photon takes back off to the tower. At that point, the idea is you have the same mass as what you started with, and the idea is to show that you have the redshift, or a photon will lose energy. And when I read this, I do not seem to see potential energy being taken into account, which from a classical standpoint, it would seem you need to do this. So I don't know how familiar you are with the thought experiment or so, but it doesn't take potential energy into account when I read it. So what's happened here? I mean,
the picture you painted is too vague. In a sense.
Would you like to see the little paragraph in the book or so?
Is it in a book?
Yes, it is. It's in Schutz's book. I have it with me. Now, let me just go. This has been constantly one of these things like, why is it?
Oh, what a green cover.
Yeah, right. The old one. This is where it only goes like about a little paragraph.
A first course in general relativity. Okay. Well, now what do you want me to do?
Oh, okay. My question is how the thought experiment does not seem to take into account the potential energy of the particle. You're so far above the Earth here, and he says, all right, it falls, it accelerates, it has this energy when it's at the surface. Okay, so it's rest mass plus kinetic energy, and then small order term, I guess, due to the idea of special relativity. And then he says, all right, we let it return. And he looks at the energy, he has this magic wand. You convert the particle to a photon and back.
We don't do magic here.
I know, but he says, yeah. Have you heard of this thought experiment by Einstein? Okay, maybe, he credits it to Einstein, somewhere in his writings, and it just, it bothers me, like.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you could send me an email.
I would be happy to. And
I'll get to it.
Okay, and if you don't have time, but yeah, this is something that's been constantly confusing me. Okay, how can I send through C2ST then or so, or just send it off that way? Okay. Well, this is great. Because
besides that, stay dry.
Oh yeah. My question is, why isn't this held in a pub or something the next time?
Everybody agrees with you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are you going to be doing this anymore, or giving any?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, this is great.
Do you remember me, darling?
Yeah, sure. What are you doing here? Are you following me?
Going to a wedding.
Oh,
I saw someone holding the sign.
there's a sign that says kiss the Lord.
I was wondering why you're actually across the street from Marilyn Monroe. How are you?
Good.
Good. I'm walking up to the place. I see someone holding the sign, Ask a Lorette, and I said, is he here? And then I said, no, he's here. Alan's here. This is so funny. So you're getting all kinds of good questions?
Not yet.
Give it to me from your phone and we'll send it to Shelley.
My cousin Nikki. Hi. Okay, babes. You're all wet. Well, now we know that.
Soggy.
Soggy. That's great. Okay, thanks. It's so good to see you guys.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
My name is Dan Xuan. How are you?
I'm wet, but okay.
Okay, cool. I'm in Chicago Booth Business School right now. I'm doing MBA, but I have a bachelor degree in environmental science. So I'm really interested in science, and I know you're very famous in the physics world. I have a question related to more like economy. Economy, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we had this big financial crisis in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
A lot of bad things happened, and looks like lot of people blaming Wall Street, right? There are some people say they're too greedy. So my question is, do you think Wall Street is the cause or the reason for causing this problem? Or maybe in the broader sense, do you think Wall Street is doing more good to this country or more bad to this country?
I think it's good for the country because most of what I know about is okay. It's good stuff. They're trying to teach people about science. That's what this is all about.
Okay.
And sometimes it's too complicated, doesn't quite work, but we do the best we can.
Okay.
And the idea is to tell people that science is fun, we can enjoy it, and that's what it's all about.
No, I totally agree. I think science is fine, and I had a degree in science, and but now I'm doing financial service. You know, so sort of a related question is, do you think like in U.S. people or parents, children, you know, do they put more focus on business degrees or professional degrees over science degrees? Like, if you ask many people or students or parents, they want them to be doctors or lawyers or bankers.
Yeah, well, they're worried about earning a living.
Right.
Well, we don't care about earning a living. I mean, all the money I get for sitting here is zero.
Right.
So it's okay.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So we're all right.
Okay. Good. All right. Thank you very much for the time. All right. Thanks.
Have a chair.
It was so nice that you're doing this. And on a rainy day, you have a little bit more time.
Well, I didn't order the rain.
No.
In fact,
And you're not a meteorologist. Yeah, you're not a meteorologist either. So anyway, my question is, do you think that we'll ever get back to the Big Bang itself, or do you think there's going to be a border which we won't be able to pass? Because I think it's like between 3 and 4 minutes now, isn't it?
What's that? I don't even know. What's 3 or 4 minutes?
That when they look way out into the distance of space, they have figured out exactly up to 3 to 4 minutes after the Big Bang.
I think that's a little vague. I don't know. You know, we do worry about time and measuring time properly. That's important. Whenever somebody asks the question about how long will it take to do something, you know, you have to speak carefully. We're not. We think that that's not a terribly.
It's not a useful number.
Yeah, sort of. That's right. It's not a crucial issue in many ways.
So, and then sort of a little bit off from that, but still dealing with space. Do you think, or how would you justify, for me, the money that we spend investigating different solar systems and planets and things like that?
Well, that's a good question. That's okay. And there is mostly the astrophysics is the subject, which is expensive. It's not easy to do good experiments of that kind, but on the other hand, it's important to know how nature behaves under various conditions. So that's why we do this. We're just trying to tell people there are all kinds of issues, and scientists try to explain these issues, and sometimes it's very difficult to do this sitting on a bench on a rainy day. You know, but you do the best you can. You know, trying. We do have made a lot of success in understanding how the world works. We really do have a very good record of predicting what will happen, and so we're very excited about something where people will ask good questions, and sometimes the questions are so good we can't answer them.
Well, I just finished reading an article in Discover magazine this morning, and it was all about different kinds of robotic investigations that can go on in outer space. And
that's true. You can get a lot of information without sending people.
Well, but apparently you can get a great deal, and it's not nearly as expensive, and you can go much farther.
I think that's right. I'm also working on it, and while we're talking, the sun is coming up.
Yes, see, magic. They do believe in God, right? Well, thank you so much. And I have a suggestion for your organization that you list a senior membership. It's not on the thing.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Hi. I think we're drying up.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know how to formulate this question well. So I saw on the Science Journal. So there's a development of a weak measurement. So one of the dilemma of quantum physics is that you cannot disrupt you will disrupt momentum or the position reading by the measurements, and by weak measurement, it's possible to not disrupt either one of them, and then just kind of get a non-precise answer on either the momentum and the position. So I'm just wondering, what is a weak measurement? What's a weak measurement experiment? How do you design such a thing?
I have a problem hearing what you're saying.
No problem. Sorry. Do you want me to repeat the question? Yeah. Okay. Sure. So, so I read on a Science Journal. So so one of the dilemma in the quantum physics is that when you are making measurements, you are either disrupting the momentum or you are disrupting the position. So you cannot know both information simultaneously. And so one of the methods recently that has been developed in the last few years is called something about weak measurements. So it's making non-precise measurements that's to just get imprecise information on both momentum and position information. So what is...
You're raising the issue which is often said quantum science.
Yes.
What are the issues there? And we know from huge numbers of measurements that the quantum theory is a correct theory of how matter behaves. And so we're confident in the correctness of the theory, and that's because we have made that kind of measurement over and over again, not only in Chicago, but in New York, in San Francisco, and all over the world. So we're confident in the correctness of the quantum theory.
We're wondering how you make those weak measurements. Like what instrumentation and what principle goes behind
Well, the question is, what kind of measurement I use testing?
So it's a class of experimental method. I just call it weak measurements. So I didn't understand too well, but supposedly usually in a traditional, for example, to detect how the quantum, the protons flying. You use a strong magnet, you see the deflection, and I see what kind of quantum state they are in. So so I saw some of example of weak measurements that you use a weak magnet, so you're only splitting the beams a little bit, and you use another strong magnet. Then you further separate and have a post selections. So. So I'm not sure how that kind of measurement method can give you more information than traditionally just using a strong magnet.
Well, I mean, if you don't, if you make a measurement and you don't enjoy the results of the measurement, you can make the measurement again in a different way, in a stronger way perhaps, and keep doing that until finally everything you try tends to confirm the fact that quantum theory is a correct theory. In fact, it's so correct that we depend on it for many, many different conditions. So quantum theory is okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Ken Gass.
Hi.
I was going to ask you, after reading your bio, I saw in the paper the other day where somebody clocked a neutrino doing faster than the speed of light. I was wondering if you thought that was going to be debunked pretty quick. I read where a neutrino had been found at one of the accelerators going faster than the speed of light. So, no, I didn't think it's going to hold up either.
It doesn't hold up.
Now,
when you hear results that are dubious, then you got to be suspicious.
Well, I was.
Yeah.
Still am.
Good.
The other quick question, do you think we're going to find the Higgs boson at LHC anytime soon?
Well, that's a brag. I don't know. I mean, I'm skeptical about finding a solution to that particle very quickly, because it's not easy.
Right.
But it's not impossible. It's
right.
not like saying, "Oh, I'm going to go faster than the speed of light. Watch me." Doesn't work that way.
Right, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kyle Ingram, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Jill Ingram. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Just a simple question. I heard yesterday that they're talking about some faster than light possibilities of some particles, and I've always heard that is not possible.
That's right. We would be very skeptical about somebody who reports detecting something moving faster than light.
I don't know why CERN's name was on it too. They were saying that may be true, that the noise floor was so high that it was hard to actually tell. So
You've got to be skeptical about.
I am.
Something that's been tested all over the world.
You got it.
A zillion times.
Yes.
I don't know what a zillion.
Enough.
Enough.
Because I keep thinking of a computer chip that had the capability, just small capabilities to adjust the time on the chip itself. And you're talking about a really fast processor possibility. But to put it in a chip from, like you said, unlikely possibility. I don't see how how the system could maintain, the local versus the global effects if we have a time smear. How does that work? I don't see how that works, where this area can have one time and this area can have another time, other than there is no time. What do you think? Do you think there's time?
I think time has been very carefully researched, and so there are many, many different tests of the sequence of events with,
But can we have a sequence without time?
Can we have
a sequence occur without time, though? That's. Are we in a block time universe and just appearing to see these things happen?
No, you'd have to be more specific.
Yes, I know.
But when you're specific and you find that time proceeds.
So there is a big time in the universe, you think?
And that time has been tested all over the world by scientists in Italy and Germany and all the countries.
But isn't that still local time though when it comes down to it? I mean, is there a big T? Is there a big time, do you think, for the universe itself? A clock?
I don't know the answer to that question, whether there is such a thing. But we do know that right now there are lots of data indicating that time sort of is a smooth thing for you, you can hang your hat on it.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Hi. My question is, if we're all made up of, billions of rapidly moving particles, why don't we just fall through each other or through the concrete?
Let me think. I'm not sure. I know the source of your puzzlement, but mostly nature has descriptions, tries to describe all sorts of things, and so right now, the sun is coming out. Good news.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure I know what question you're asking.
Well, my question is, how do we end up with surface tension? How is something solid if everything is made up of all these?
Well, surface tension is a known quantity. We know what surface tension is, and we know that, for example, if you want to, I'm trying to think of some example that you may be familiar with, but there's let's see, surface tension is a known quantity. You can measure it and find out that I'm trying to think of some example that you would see around the house, but that would give you some confidence that the science of surface tension is well understood. We do understand it. We do know that if we pull on something, it will stretch to some extent, and that can be verified and so on. So there's a lot of different proofs of the fact that these concepts are okay, and that they give us a real feeling for how the world works and how our local world works.
Well, and I have the confidence that when I stand on the concrete, I'm not going to go through it anyway.
That's right.
So something works.
I'll guarantee you that.
Yes.
A signed guarantee.
All right.
She will not go through the floor.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Hi.
I'm in physics myself. I'm in medical physics, actually.
Oh, good. You're the kind of physics that counts.
There we go. Yeah. My question is, what do you think about the new announcement that neutrinos go faster than the speed of light?
I don't know who made that announcement, but I certainly don't believe it.
Really? Okay. Why not?
Well, because so many people have made these measurements all over the world, even in Schenectady.
Okay.
Or California, or some experiment at the North Pole and so on. So we know a lot about the speed of light and about speeds which approach the speed of light, but can never quite achieve it. So we're confident that set of phenomenon is something we understand. We deal with it. For example, we know that you will not, no matter how carefully you measure something, you will not measure a speed approaching the speed of light. It's just not doable. So if somebody says, I just did it, eureka, you just have to be skeptical.
Okay, so wait and see. Okay. Pleasure meeting you.
Sure.
I'm fine, and the sun is out.
It is, finally, yes. So you're the founder of the Illinois State Mathematics...
Oh, IMSA.
IMSA, yes.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about technology and how it will improve education in the future for grade school?
Well, I think that you want to use technology in order to advance education.
Right.
But the trouble is often that when you do, you're addressing people who can't follow you.
So for instance, if I go to the store and somebody forgets to put in that I gave them $20, they can't count out change. Do you think that is a technology thing? People can't learn to do mathematics in their head anymore?
I agree with you that it's you sometimes can be very discouraged at the state of learning. This is what you have to do. You have to make sure that people graduate from high school, graduate from college with some sense of numbers and how they behave. And that's a problem. It's a problem in education. So what we have to do is make sure that high school graduates can understand and do the kind of problems that you mentioned.
So do you feel that technology has caused that problem, or do you think that always existed?
The question is how firm is the evidence for something. For example, lots of people have come up and said, we've just heard that neutrinos can go faster than the speed of light. And my answer to that is it's very unlikely, because we've been testing the speed of light for years all over the world, and it always seems to be a limit. So therefore, you can be skeptical. Bizarre phenomenon requires skepticism. Doesn't mean it's wrong, but it means you have to be really doubtful that it's correct. Why? Because especially when it comes to the speed of light, it's been tested all over the world numerous times and always seems to be upheld. So with that evidence, the burden of proof is with the person who denies the validity of the limit of the speed of light. You know.
More of your time.
Okay.
Hi, Doctor. Nice to meet you.
Was that all for me?
Yeah. Okay, have a seat. We both have questions, but she's going to go first.
I have a science fair project, and I was wondering if you'd have any good suggestions. Maybe something that's not too difficult, or...
Oh, you want an idea for a science project?
I'm kind of interested in doing something with cats, or...
With what?
With cats.
Cats.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if that's too tricky, which they can be tricky...
Well, I don't know what you want to do with the cat. You don't want to hurt the cat.
It's kind of like a cause and effect kind of project that we're supposed to do.
But if that doesn't work, if you had any other suggestions, I thought you would be a good person to ask.
Well, she wants a project.
Right, and she's in 7th grade, so something that not too easy, not too hard. That could. The example given was something about putting plants in different periods of light, and the hypothesis which one would do the best. I think that was like a summary idea. And so I said, well, let's go down and ask the professor. Good question.
Well, that's probably not a bad idea. You could imagine a plant and put it in a dark room.
Right.
And then or two identical plants. They look identical, and you put one in a dark room.
Right. Well, we can't do that experiment.
You can't do it.
No, that was the suggestion, like the idea. So she wanted to try to do the plants, but
pretty much anything would work. Just something that's
Well,
sort of simple, but not like not too easy.
well, you could take a simple plant, let's say that you buy in A&P or something,
Okay.
a potted plant of some kind, and then put it in a dark room.
Okay.
Closet in the house, for example, and for a few hours, I would guess, long enough, and eventually the plant would suffer.
Okay.
Because there's no light, it needs light.
Right.
So that's an example of the fact that light is essential for progress among plants. That's could be get her a B+ or.
Right. Well, she probably wouldn't. Well, okay.
It's something that I need to do like a few trials, but it's something that would get me like an A.
Yeah, we can't do the plant because that was.
He said that we couldn't do plants and we couldn't do that suggestion.
I guess this is a stumper. Maybe we might have to.
I think you have a problem, but I don't know if I can do something that your teacher will say, "Oh no."
Well, okay. Well, then I have a question. I heard that like 98% of scientists do not believe in God. Is that true?
No idea. I never made a test of that.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. Okay, so she and I are atheists, and we're often deluged in some way or another with, and I assume, well, with people who want to foist their beliefs on us, and we needed like a succinct sentence. I assume you're not a God-believing person since you're a scientist, right? And you have this God particle you're referring to. Is there like one sentence you use to like help?
One sentence?
Yes, one sentence to diffuse people from doing that. But what do you do when people want to convince you that there is a God? What do you say to them?
Well, the question is, if people want to convince you, then you have to ask them, what is the evidence for this?
All the miracles around them. That's usually what I hear.
Yeah, but then you have to pursue that. What miracles? What evidence? What is it that that makes you believe this? You know, and ultimately, if you keep on saying, "How do you know? How do you know?" Eventually, you'll find out that the evidence presented is not convincing.
True. Okay. All right. So I have my answer, but is there any other? Are you all set with yours? Yeah, I'm good. I think she's good. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
My name is Costa Chitouris, class of '53, MIT.
Oh boy!
And I'm here because I heard you from MIT. Naturally, it was interesting. No, not from MIT, but anyway. Well, it says MIT. Oh, didn't I say it here? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Quickie question. Quickie, not quickie, but anyway. What can professional people like yourself, like myself, I happen to be an engineer, electrical engineering, etc., do to aid in social justice projects in this country? Social justice. How do you? Yes, I know it's tough
because it's not a yes or no thing. It's a question of.
Briefly, philosophically, how would you approach that though?
I'm not sure I know what you want me to approach.
I'm 79. I don't know how old you are, but you're up there somewhere.
79, yeah, well, I'm 89.
Okay, way up there. We are concerned, my wife and I are concerned about justice in this country. And we're educated people with big quotes around it. What does one do what?
Via science.
Via science, or at least by training, to aid in social justice. Politicians that run the country, and they're not.
It's a very broad.
Yes, it is.
Very broad question. But so one really has to be specific, otherwise it's hopeless. So,
You answer any way you want to.
Yeah. So I would say that if you're interested in truth, and somebody tells you that the moon is going to crash into the earth, I read about it in a book. You can say, just because you read about it in a book doesn't make it true. You got to look at the evidence for it. Is the moon, changing its orbit? If it is, you should be able to measure it. If you can't measure it, then you can be skeptical about the conclusion. Okay. So, that in some sense, it always comes down to what is it that makes you believe?
Mm-hmm.
Something.
Correct. I guess in politics they can get away with lying often, and it's very hard to get to the people who end up voting, to get them to understand that the man or the woman is lying. And that's the front. That's
scientific way.
Well, you try to use your influence. But influence for the average person is not like your influence. There's Nobel Prize and that kind of business. But nevertheless, it's frustrating to hear and listen to people literally lie and misrepresent, and yet hard to modify that in the minds of other people who are not well versed in knowledge.
Your weapon is skepticism. In other words, somebody says the moon is going to fall down. You'll say, well, it's been there now for a million years, and so on. So I think that it's probably not going to change.
Yes.
In other words, you've got to be skeptical about any statement that seems bizarre.
Okay. It's a toughie, I knew, but thank you.
I'm Mr. Letterman, Dr. Letterman, excuse me. So, you want me to ask my question first? All right, here's the thing. So I'm a public school teacher, librarian / teacher in Chicago Public Schools. So I work this program called SketchUp. It's a drawing program. You can draw a building. You could draw, Mies van der Rohe building, like the Farnsworth House, if you wanted to. It's got a lot of detail, a lot of tools. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, and it's three-dimensional, so it's real interesting. I'm showing the kids how to work this, and it's not intuitive. It's not intuitive. It's step by step, these tools. So last week I saw that it's like a video game almost. These video gamers drew the protein of the AIDS virus. And I saw how the program works. It's like three-dimensional. It's like a puzzle. You draw this protein of the AIDS virus, and then they're trying to work on the avian flu virus. They drew it. Now my question is this: they say that they unlocked the puzzle. They actually figured it out. It took them like 3 weeks. Something that they've been trying to do for 15 years. And I'm presuming that these scientists are looking at it through a microscope in a two-dimensional way, and then they're just kind of like, I don't know, experimenting. See, I'm just guessing. So, well, first of all, now if let's say that they really drew it and it works, they've succeeded.
Succeeded in doing what?
In drawing the protein of the AIDS virus, like they know in 3D. And so, how does that help them cure AIDS if they have the protein drawn?
Oh boy, it's a vague question. It gets a vague answer in the sense that let's let's see, how do you zero in? The thing is that a statement always requires evidence that it's correct.
No, I know. They feel good about it. It's the news. It's the social media. See, I don't trust them. See, because I'm already 48 years old. I've been burned many times. They lie.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's just assume that they succeeded. And they drew this thing in a three-dimensional way. You could turn it upside down. You could twist it around.
And you're saying that because they drew it three-dimensionally, that they can actually see
How it looks like exactly.
But and then do what with that?
I'm thinking because now that they know how it looks like and how it's built and it's constructed, they can attack it.
Attack it.
Like kill it, like eliminate it with medicine. The AIDS virus.
So because they can see it three-dimensionally, they can cure it.
I don't know. Can they?
No, I'm trying to clarify.
That's the question.
Well, the more you know, the more confident you can be to any particular conclusion. In this particular case, I don't know what, your premise is too vague to confront. So the question is always, what are you trying to achieve by this argument?
What's your goal?
What's your goal?
Oh, okay, no, that's good. I'm trying to understand how scientists go about curing a disease like AIDS or avian flu. What is the process? I mean, that may not be your specialty, so...
No, but it's okay that if you have a goal...
Yeah, that's my goal, to understand.
Then you have to, if you have a goal, then you have to say, how do I establish that this goal makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? And that's the burden of your problem, because if it doesn't make any sense, if you can't establish it by going at it, in Italian and some other way, then you can be, unless you can establish it in many different ways, you can't be confident that it has any validity.
Right. Like, I don't know what the consequences are. But, I mean...
So can he
ask it? Yeah, Alex, go ahead.
How old would you be in Jupiter?
If you lived in Jupiter, how old would you be? Yeah. 0, right. Yeah, because it's gaseous, right? It's a gaseous planet. Yeah.
Don't go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
I have a deep question, but unfortunately, you can only give a shallow answer if I'm not understand it. Why is it such a problem to the general theory if they can't find the Higgs in approximately the energy level that they're looking for it?
Why? Oh well, the Higgs is in a sense an elegant concept. It has to do with, for example, the mass of an object. So Higgs is a phenomenon which appears in the mathematics all the time, and so you begin to get more and more confidence that the concept of Higgs has some validity. Then you call up your friend in California and you tell him what you found out, and he says, I'll try that experiment here, and I'll call you back.
Still waiting by the phone.
Yeah, right. And eventually he calls you back and he says, I tried the experiment, it didn't work.
Couldn't find it.
Something's wrong with your concept. So, or on the contrary, he says, yep, I did it, and your idea is correct, and the concept is correct. So the question always is, if you have a concept, how do you verify it? And do you verify it twice, 3 times? You call your friend in California and say, you verify it. Or your friend in Schenectady, Japan. You know, you keep looking for verification. And the more verification you have, the more confident you are that this is a correct concept.
And if all your friends do not find it, as a practical matter today, does it cause sort of an epicycle on the existing theory, or does it?
It depends on what the concept is. It could be. I'm trying to think of something plausible, but the fact that that the concept doesn't seem to be true in California, whereas it's true in Chicago. You got to be suspicious. In other words, I've got to look for many different kinds of verification in order to believe this. So I now make a list. I did this, I did this, I did this, and each time the concept was verified. So that you can say, okay, let's accept this as a concept, and we'll keep on verifying it as often as we can. And then once you do that, you'll find places where the concept doesn't work. Like, how come it doesn't work here? Maybe the concept isn't exactly right. Maybe you have to make a modification. You know, cross a couple of T's, dot a couple of I's.
Yes. Write another 17 pages of math. I'll let you. Thank you very much.
As a fellow CCNY graduate, and when I read your book, I don't remember whether you went to high school in Manhattan or from my Bronx High School of Science background. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to high school in the Bronx.
Not to science. To Monroe. Well, Bronxites together. Good to see you. Thank you, Leon.
Dr. Letterman, I was born the year you had your 5 or 6 gig of electron volt, 1977, and I grew up locally. So my question today is not so much about physics per se, but more about Fermilab as an institution. And I know. Is there a future for research there, even to say, hypothetically, say LHC is a bust, we don't actually, say high energy physics, we can't get high enough energy to actually get any more information, totally hypothetically. Will Fermilab always be able to remain as an institution for research without, say, doing experimental physics there? Will it be able to remain as like a theoretical institute?
It depends on the assumptions you want to hold. You know, if you are insisting on believing, for example, that the concept.
I'm sorry, sir. I perhaps made it too complex. Essentially, without experimental physics, would Fermilab still be able to exist as an institution, a cultural and research institution, without experimentation?
No, it's not. Fermilab is not a cultural thing; it's scientific rather than cultural. So it has, it supports, if you like, and undergirds and concepts like just trying to think of something.
Oh no, sure. over the years, as the scene has grown locally, it's very suburban now, right? But I guess I tend to like to think of it as never being a suburb and remaining an institution unto itself. And there is a cultural value to it. I agree. It's there for science, but there's definitely a cultural aspect to it. And I guess there's always a slight fear in my mind it'll go away.
No, the point always is the search for truth. I mean, speculations of various kinds are okay if they can lead to a conclusion that can be verified. By going into the laboratory and lighting the Bunsen burner and having the whole thing blow up. You always have to look for verification. I mean, what science does is it makes a speculation, and then you try it out in various places. And if that speculation survives, then you have verified some concept. On the other hand, if no matter how you try, it doesn't work, then you have to be suspicious about the statement that you're making.
And it's harder perhaps to get funding sometimes then too. But, well, thank you very much for your time. I know you have a long line, but thank you very much. I think it's great you guys come out and do this, so thank you.
I would like to know what is your opinion about this result from OPERA, which claim that they have seen neutrinos which travel faster than the speed of light. And how much would you bet on whether the result is correct or not?
People have asked me this before, and the answer is always, what's the evidence? What is the evidence for something traveling faster than the speed of light? I mean, how do you know it's doing that? So you say, oh, well, I made the measurement. Well, how did you make the measurement? Well, I saw this object and I made a click, and then a little bit later I made another click, and I looked at the two clicks, and in other words, you're describing an experiment. Okay, if the experiment is a valid experiment, then there's no problem. But if the experiment is not valid because you didn't click it correctly, then you don't have to worry about having made a measurement that nobody else in the world has made, and prove that the speed is greater than the speed of light. So that's the way we decide on whether something is true or false, by doing experiments and making measurements.
Have you read the paper?
Huh?
Did you watch the webcast yesterday?
No. What happened yesterday?
There was a webcast from CERN about the result, a seminar about it. And I think the whole particle physics community watched it. No, about this result that neutrino can travel faster than the speed of light.
I didn't see it, but I'm still skeptical.
Yeah, okay.
You take a peek? Sure. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I interview you quickly about what you
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. So I want to know, these searches are being done at CMS and Atlas. So several Exotica searches are being done, and they are mostly putting limits. So none of them are confirmed, or you don't even have evidence for them. So what do you do? The way you do look for new things is you look at all the known things.
What are you trying to do? Are you a student?
Yeah, I'm a CM. I work in the CMS collaboration. In the CMS collaboration, I'm a grad student. So the way you do any searches, new searches, is you look at all the known things and see if you see anything other than what you should see, and then you say, oh, that looks something new. But the way people are doing it is like they assume some theories and they can't like scan the entire theory. They assume a simplified model of that theory and then see some topologies and look at them. So I'm asking, like, what is the nice way to do, because none of these are turning out to be true, right?
Well, the first thing you would do if your result surprised you, if whatever experiment you're trying to do was a surprise for you, then what you have to do is find a friend, a colleague somewhere, maybe in a different laboratory, and you ask him to do the same experiment. And if he gets the same result you got, then you're beginning to be more interested in this, and then you can call somebody up who lives in Boston or California or Florida, and you ask him to repeat the experiment. In other words, you try to get verification in different laboratories.
Sure. Okay. So, okay, yeah. I mean, you need to like have multiple sightings of the same thing.
That's right.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is, in the searches that are done in CMS and Atlas, they are like assuming some theories and searching for them, and you are not seeing much there. I mean, this is just assuming some point in this sort of infinite space and then searching for them for those points, right? Is there a very general way where you can scan?
Well, again, you have to be more specific about what it is you found, and also what you found, which is be the property of some kind. And then the question is, if first of all you repeat your own experiment several times to make sure that what you saw seems to be correct. You see, and then so you repeated it and you're convinced that you're right. Then you have to get somebody else to do the same experiment, maybe in Chicago or in someplace, and you get verification that way. You just have to keep getting verification.
Okay.
The more surprising the result, the more verification you need.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
What do you do other than physics when you're not doing physics?
When I'm not doing physics?
When you are not doing physics, what do you do, like for fun?
In physics.
What do you do? When you're not doing physics? Okay. How much time do you invest to do physics and not doing physics? I just kind of curiosity. Like, do you spend like the whole day of your life, like the whole day to do physics, or you pretty much?
A day is not very much.
Yeah.
But again, you know, usually, in my case, for example, there may be some process which doesn't seem to work. Doesn't work. You don't know why it doesn't work, or it doesn't work. So you have to repeat the experiment. And then maybe when you repeat the experiment, you get a different result. Then you know there's something wrong in your process. Or, you know, or
you have to do it again.
That's right. You have to do it again. So repeating experiments is a big part of your job.
They will take some times, I guess. Yeah.
That's right.
So that's why you said a day is not enough.
Exactly. That's right.
Oh well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you? This is young Josephine.
Hi.
And so I guess I have two questions. The first is, I'm not a scientist in any way, and so what should I do as a non-scientist to make sure that she gets a good science education and foster science in her?
Well, that's a good question, and it's a question of the school she's going to. You'd like her to go to a good school, and that depends on finding out, asking questions. Is this school a good school, or should I try to find a different school? You want to make sure she goes to a good school. And
I think her school is pretty good, but I find that science is kind of, and I suspect it's because there's not a lot of people that understand science or can teach science, but science and math both seem to not be emphasized very much. So, I would do it myself as I do with reading, but I don't know anything about science really. So.
Yeah. No, but you can find a school, or maybe even a tutor.
Tutor.
Who, like a graduate student.
Sure.
A lot of graduate students
there's
walking
plenty
past.
over here. Sure, they could use some extra money too.
Right.
So, okay. But the other question is, there's a couple of cartoon characters named Phineas and Ferb who are very popular right now. They're kind of amateur scientists. We just wanted to see if you knew who they were. No. Well, look for them on TV sometime.
Okay.
They're interesting.
I will.
All right. Thanks a lot.
I'm a Buckminster Fuller guy. I used to travel with him and set up my exhibit, hands-on models, so people can understand. And I still have the exhibit going on. I just did it well, it was just at the Institute of Design 2 years ago when the Bucky show was in town. Did you see the show?
No.
Oh, it's too bad. The one that opened at the Whitney Fuller. And I have a paper I wrote this year I want to leave with you. I made a discovery, I think. I'm not a physicist, but I was trained by Fuller to be a generalist. And I came up with this concept of life in the universe, and I wanted you to take it with you, and if you could respond at some time, just a two-page thing.
Providing I'm not held to a schedule.
Right, I appreciate it. I was reading your book all the last week, and I wanted to know if they find the boson, if they find the Higgs field, would it be made up of particles of bosons? Or what is, because you say in the book, it intrigued me that it would permeate the whole universe, every part of every
field. We were talking about a field.
Yeah, if they find the Higgs boson, would that mean right away that there is a Higgs field?
Well, you're in some sense you're saying if they find a Higgs boson, is there a Higgs field? Yeah.
Right. And the Higgs field would permeate the universe. Would be omnipresent in the universe?
You see, you're answering the question in the question. The Higgs is a speculation. It's a speculation made by theoretical physicists. That means they don't do any experiments.
Right.
They sleep late. But so already you have a hypothesis. The question is, what does that mean? Well, in some cases it means that certain particles are heavy. They have a large mass. For example, it might mean that. In which case, you call up your best friends in, where are we? Chicago, New York, Boston, Tampa, Florida, and so on, and you say, I did the following experiment and I found the following result. Please verify. Now, your results, if they come back and they say, yes, we agree with your experiment, then you're ready to become famous and you publish. You say, the following procedure produces an effect which can be verified in California and Boston.
But theoretical physicists don't have that, aren't able to do that. They just spend their lives theorizing, isn't that right?
Well, they might
induce experiments, yes.
Suggest experiments, because the theoretical physicists even so want to make sure that what they're theorizing is correct. I know some of them don't care.
I appreciate it. Can I trouble you? Thanks. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, keep the questions short.
Hello, sir. I'm an undergrad at U of C who want to major in physics, and I want to ask a question about studying physics itself. Like I attended a camp last summer where a lot of like Nobel laureates coming. It's called Asian Science Camp, and like almost every person told us that like find what interests you, and put your passion in it. And so like my question was like, then how do I find what interests me? So I want to ask, how did you find your interest like in physics when you're young?
Well, you answered the question yourself. You study some subject. Maybe you want to know, I don't know, the mass of some particle that you can observe. You observe some particle. You then say, how heavy is it? So you make a measurement of the mass of the particle. And if that seems that no one has ever seen such a particle before, you become very excited because maybe you've made a discovery, and you repeat your experiment. You get the same result you got before. Now you really get excited, and then you try to get a colleague, you know, who is not at the University of Chicago because they couldn't get in. So it's some other university. And again, you try to verify that concept as much as you can, you know, by these measurements. And if that happens, it keeps repeating, then you feel that you should tell it to somebody, like a teacher, a colleague, a graduate student, somebody who can repeat your experiment independently. And again, if the result is verified, then you have to try to publish it because you've gotten verification of something that looks very unusual. So you send it into a magazine, a journal, sometimes a physics society journal, and if again it's usually when you send an article to a journal, the journal will test the results, and if they like the results, they'll publish it, and then now people are beginning to pay attention. And
how did you know physics was your passion? I think that's what he says.
Ah, well, okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, you're interested in verifying the process of learning some new particle. Somebody reports, hey, I saw when I mixed up these two particles, I saw a new phenomenon. And you talk about it with colleagues, and you say, you know, you do the experiment independently of me. In other words, what's exciting is when you make a discovery and you have to verify it, you have to get somebody else to verify the result. And that's the exciting part, and that's the fun part, is verifying some new result. Nobody's ever seen this before. Wow, how did you do it? Oh, I made a mistake.
Hi there, Doctor. I like your jacket, by the way. It's not a physics question, it's sort of a thinking question. How do I find the best financial advisor for me?
Gee, well, I don't know. Go to Wall Street, stand on a corner.
I've been doing all that. In other words, you never know, and it's very expensive experimenting with these guys.
Yeah, but there must be another canopy somewhere that gives you advice, financial advice.
Okay.
Maybe it's around the corner.
Okay. All right. Well, I know the standard answers. I was thinking maybe the fact that you weren't in the business might, allow a different perspective. So, okay.
Not really.
So, okay. All right. So you're in the same boat as me in a sense.
Yeah.
Okay. How do I find a career that's most satisfying for me? And I've struggled with that my whole life. I've had many careers, been very successful in about 20 different fields, but I always give them up.
Why?
Get bored, don't feel like I'm making enough money, even though I do well, but, I get bored.
What do you do with a guy like that?
You gotta find your passion.
Okay, all right. Last question. Do you know Dr. Untermeyer? He used to work at the University of Chicago
No.
many years ago.
Untermeyer?
In the 1950s?
Before my time.
60s, maybe? Okay. Doctor, thank you very much.
Okay.
It's a nice concept you have here. Thank you.
It's an honor to meet you, sir. I don't have any physics background, but I'm always watching documentaries, and I'm always intrigued by possibilities of time travel and potential understanding of how tiny little particles, smaller than atoms, function so differently than larger particles. So do you think we'll ever reconcile understanding the behaviors and everything of quarks? I think that's what they're called, tiny little smaller than atoms, and then can we explain them, reconcile it with the normal big particles, I would assume. Will that ever happen?
Well, I don't know if it'll ever happen, because the question is, you get a result from something, and you want to know whether that is a correct result. Well, to do that, you've got to either repeat the experiment in a different way, or get some help from a colleague, a fellow student, a teacher, somebody else, and you tell them what you did. And you say, now, should I continue this research, or have I done something wrong? In other words, you look for self-criticism of the thing, and that gives you a comment that you weren't critical enough.
So everybody obviously in research, they're all doing that, trying to figure that out. And even so, have we gotten any answers? The big particle accelerator in Switzerland. From that experiment, have you heard anything intriguing or potentially?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but
Okay.
we expect any minute.
Yeah.
There's somebody standing by the telephone.
I know. Well, it's a great honor to meet you, sir. Okay, thank you.
Curious what your thoughts are on the future of neutrino physics, especially in the United States.
Neutrino physics is a great subject, and it's very lively. There's a lot to learn about neutrinos, and I think there's a lot of things that will come out of a good research program on neutrinos.
You think there's enough interest to keep the labs going and keep doing science?
Well, I think you can continue to do all kinds of things. I tend to be an optimist.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll work. There'll be lots of things to do.
All right.
I actually know
what do you see in the high energy physics scenario if LHC doesn't see it?
Speak up a little.
Okay, what do you see in the high energy physics scenario if LHC doesn't see anything, or if it sees only the standard model of Higgs boson? Is that bad? I'm working on the muon collider, so I'm just doing my master's degree thesis, and then I go back to Italy. So I was just curious what happens if they don't see anything in the next maybe couple of years.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I mean, we all worry about that. But in some sense, you have to be optimistic. And sometimes when you have a particle and you have to find out what its properties are, and to make sure that what the experiment you're doing is correct. And you've got to, usually you want to be, you want to have colleagues who help you, who work with you. So two guys talking to each other about some physics result is always very useful, because you can then verify, yeah, this is very crazy experiment, you know. The result is kind of stupid. You don't understand it. Then you may be on your way to interesting discovery. And then you have to learn how to verify what you did. You know, verification. You have a colleague, you have a teacher, you have a boyfriend, whatever.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
My name is Zach Aldrich. I'm a reporter with the Medill School of Journalism here in Chicago. Yeah. So do you mind if I record? Yes. Great, thanks. Well, I wanted to ask, what's the strangest question you've ever been asked, or the most memorable?
Oh. Actually, it's very hard to know what is the strangest question. You get a lot of questions. Sometimes many questions are difficult because they're not coherent. You know, in some sense, you have to know a lot before you can ask good questions. And asking a good question is not easy, especially in Chicago. We have so many clever students at the university and so on. So it's very hard to say this is a good question and that's a lousy question.
My question would be, if you were going to eat a Chicago-style hot dog, what would you put on it?
Mustard, and I would put on it sauerkraut.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Hi, Sam. Hi. Do you have a question for Dr. Letterman? Think real hard.
How many feet deep is that particle accelerator at Fermi Lab?
How many feet deep is the particle accelerator at Fermi Lab?
It's about 30 feet.
30 feet?
30 feet.
That's not very deep.
It's about 3 of these tents put together.
You had another question earlier. Do you want to ask that?
Do you have one more question?
Yeah. About matter in terms of movement.
Go ahead. Oh, did you?
Do you want me to ask?
Was this your first interview or your second? The first, okay. She did her first They keep doing it all month.
You can go around and whisper to them if you want. I think that would be okay.
If you remember, you can come back. How about that? Okay?
He just has a hard time.
How do you think matter could go over the speed of light?
How do you think matter can go over the speed of light?
I don't think it can.
You don't think it could ever happen?
No, it can never happen because the energy would be too high.
Did you hear him? He does not think it can happen because the energy will be too high.
I think it could happen.
You think it could?
Good for you.
Good for you. Yeah?
Oh.
You do? Someday. I bet. Keep researching.
Thank you.
She's a bright girl. Let me show you a picture. Oh, really? Keep working on that. Dr. Letterman signed this for you.
I'm doing a science project.
Come a little closer.
I'm wondering if a potato can conduct electricity.
Can a potato conduct electricity?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Can I have your autograph?
Your autograph.
We're just really out of town, but I spent back here.
Oh, okay. Well, can I just do a t-shirt? We got lots of kids this time.
Yeah.
No problem. Well, thanks for coming. He's drawing a potato.
How often do you get to ask?
There you
Can I
go.
take a picture?
Yeah.
Now, where are you guys from?
Come around here.
Oh, okay.
Two of my brothers and my son. My son is
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Honor, sir. Making your acquaintance. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Nelson, and I'm part of the Hoofbeat paper at Northside College Prep. And I'm here to cover the paper. First one, can I get an autograph? So,
Autograph?
yes, please.
Would you rather have it on his bio?
Yeah, sure.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Hooterville to the Big Apple.
And my question is. Thank you so much, sir. And my question is, as an aspiring scientist, what is it that you think makes a good scientist? And for people aspiring to, enter that field, what advice would you have for them?
I think there is an art of skepticism. In other words, to be a good scientist is to be critical. In other words, to suspect evidence which is somebody tells you, or which you read in some shady newspaper. In other words, but the art of skepticism is important. Is not to believe rumors or somebody reported. In other words, to be skeptical of evidence.
So you definitely are skeptical of this new finding about the...
Oh, absolutely. Neutrinos are my best friend.
Oh, really? Wow. That's amazing. Well, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And it's a pleasure meeting you.
Tell some of your student colleagues to come down to some of other programs.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, she just gave me this. And I plan on looking into this. So, again, thank you. Thanks.
Hi.
How are you?
I think I'm okay.
Well, I've got a question for you. This morning on the news, they were reporting that CERN had done some sort of an experiment where they claim that they found something going faster than the speed of light.
Light.
What do you know about it? Anything?
Not much, except that it's got to be verified. a cautious scientist, if he makes such a discovery, he would next he would turn his results over to a colleague.
Well, I think they said that Fermilab was going to try to repeat it.
Well, that may be. In other words, if you heard a rumor of some such thing.
I heard the rumor on WBEZ.
Well, that's a very suspicious source.
I see that you were involved with the Illinois Academy of Math and Science. A friend of mine used to teach there. I don't know whether he still does. Michael Sloan. Do you know him? Sloan?
Sounds familiar, but I can't tell you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for coming down.
All righty. Bye.
Christine, thank you so much for doing this. This is a great public service. So my question is, what do you think is the most important issue scientifically for the presidential debate?
I think that you may not like the answer, but I think
I'm voting blue. Let's put that on the table.
What did she say?
I'm voting blue. Let's put that on. I'm a Democrat, so you won't offend me if you say global warming or anything else.
No, those would be sympathetic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I don't know how to. You didn't ask a question. Did you ask a question?
Yes. What do you think the most important scientific issue for the presidential debate is?
Well, I would think it's a question of the effort that a new government puts into science.
Okay.
How much of an effort do they put into it?
Mm-hmm.
Do we put in 5% of our possibilities, 10%? 30%, and how do we, in other words, how do we support science in the most productive possible way?
Right.
That would be the issue.
Okay.
And the person who supported science most vigorously gets my vote.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Very nice to meet you. Honored to be able to ask a question. This might be a little bit too speculative, but what was the universe like before the Big Bang?
Oh, yeah, I was there.
I didn't mind anything.
Well, yeah, you can't really answer that without a little more details, because in some sense we think that there was a Big Bang and it created lots of stuff,
right?
And presumably atoms and molecules and stuff like that. And so then you argue, well, what happened before that? And then the trouble is with a question like that is there's no answer.
Okay.
In other words, there's no possible answer to this.
It's not verifiable or
Yeah.
falsifiable.
In other words, in order to make a challenging question, you have to have a possible sequence of steps. And this doesn't have any steps.
Aren't they trying to answer that though?
Well, what do they do?
Well, studying black holes,
Yeah. Well, that would. No, that's not the same. See,
No,
that's very specific. You don't know how to answer a question.
Is it possible?
What?
To ever get to that point? To ever?
The question is, you have to know what do you know now? What do we know now? And people walking past and asking all kinds of tough questions. But the issue is how do you come to terms with what was there before the Big Bang? That's more or less the hard part of the question.
Right.
Before the Big Bang, but there's no way to prove that your answer is correct.
Sure.
So, you know, you're sort of stuck in a quandary that you don't like to be in.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your Nobel. I'm curious about, as a scientist, do you believe in God?
No.
No? Not at all. Were you always an atheist, or?
Well, when I was 2, no.
You never believed in God? I mean, what is it? You're Jewish, right? So did you grow up in the synagogue and all of that?
Yeah.
But you just never caught fire. So why is this Higgs boson so difficult to?
That Higgs is a speculation. It's a speculation that there is a force in nature, which we call Higgs, and which modifies the properties of particles that we see. Okay. So that's really a scientific question.
Is that the God particle that you're talking about on your paper? Is that the God particle you're talking about in your paper? I thought that was the Holy Grail to find the Higgs boson.
Well, but it's slang.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's not something that we would say, you know, we see it or we know something about it. It's not an issue that you can test by.
So what's happening at Fermilab lately? What are they doing there?
Well, I don't know. I haven't checked with Fermilab in a while.
No?
In hours and hours. But there are a lot of people in Chicago who are at the university, and they're working on processes that produce mass and particles, all kinds of good scientific work going on, in which they ask a specific question and then try to find experimental answers. That's the fun.
Now, as a scientist, so what do you think the meaning of life is?
Well, that's not allowed here.
It's not? It's not?
The meaning of life, yeah. Because you can't answer it. So a question that has no answer is no question.
Well, you know, I'm just curious. Do you think that there will be another species beyond us that will evolve? A species beyond us that will evolve?
Well, again, unless you're more specific in your prediction, you can't be proved right or wrong. If you are specific, then that's more interesting. But if you have no way of proving it, then you're sort of stranded.
Okay, very good.
Okay?
All right, nice meeting you.
Okay.
Good luck.
Hi, my name's Jonathan Silverstein. Nice to meet you. Well, I guess you've probably been asked this a lot today, but do you think that the results about the neutrino traveling faster than light are real? No. Okay. Could you elaborate on that, please?
The speculations about whether things can travel, or neutrinos can travel faster than light, are probably premature.
I mean, they said, I only know what was in the newspapers, but they said their margin of error was, well, this was, I think, 3 times what they thought their margin of error was, but you think they have some kind of...
I don't know the results, so I can't speak with confidence in what they did, but it's just very unlikely that this group, which doesn't have, as far as I know, any scientific credentials.
Oh, really?
That I know of, yeah.
Now these were people at CERN that were...
No, I doubt if there was CERN would be a reputable source.
Sure.
And So my guess is it doesn't come directly from CERN.
Okay, I see.
Well, it goes through some random process.
I see. And do you think that the speed of light is going to remain sort of the absolute limit of all speeds? I mean, that there's never likely to be anything greater than that can travel faster than that?
Yeah, I think probably that's right. There's you have to think of experiments, in other words, suppose I was challenged to devise an experiment. I wouldn't know how to, I would measure speeds, maybe, and find a way to keep pumping more and more energy into some particle.
Right.
And make it go faster and faster and see if there's a limit. Well, no one's ever found such a limit.
Okay.
So I have confidence in the past.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you. I'm going to ask the same question this other guy did, but I didn't quite hear your answer. Do you really think it's possible for a neutrino to move faster than the speed of light? And why is that?
It's that we've been searching for such processes, for many tens of years, and in many places around the planet where there are other laboratories that can do those experiments. So, therefore, you need a large amount of counter evidence before you will believe something. And so I don't know where the source of this report is, and I haven't looked at that source. So, but I would be, I think, terribly skeptical that somebody has found a way of jacking particles up to such high speed.
Okay, well, thank you. I used to teach English at Ohio State, so I guess I have a little bit of an academic background, but let me ask you another question. What about this super collider down in Joliet? Is that going to be useful in this quest?
Joliet?
Yeah. It's actually in Batavia.
Oh, in Batavia, yeah. Batavia is where Fermi. Yeah.
Fermi, yeah.
Yeah, but we made no such claims. Fermilab is a good laboratory, and its results are always correct.
Okay.
But no one there has ever claimed that there are such speeds.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So, I know that radar was something that was invented, and it's been used to help people get speeding tickets. And I really appreciated when radar detectors came out, so we wouldn't have radar, so that we could track that. And the city of Chicago has gotten very smart, and they keep sending me red light tickets when I go through a red light, and they take a picture. And I was wondering, I know, it is. So I thought a good question would be, is there any way that science can help me to stop getting red light tickets?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Put a speed limiter on your car.
All right. That's a good one. What about the pictures that are taken? Is there any way to stop the science of the photo being taken when I go through a red light?
Whatever you devise, they would devise something better.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
The main
So the main thing is stop speeding.
Yeah.
All right. Got it.
Thank
you.
My name's Justin Flood. I'm Karen's husband. I'm also a friend of the Cobbs and everything. But I have a science question for you about neutrinos. So neutrinos can become. There are different kinds of neutrinos, and they can spontaneously change their character. What is it that they have in common? What makes them all neutrinos if they can become a different kind of particle?
That's a good question. Let's see if I can. Neutrinos, fundamentally, there are three different types of classes or families of neutrinos. Alpha, beta, gamma, something like that. And so that's the different classifications. And it turns out that in many experiments you could produce type A or type B or type C. So now we have a classification and we know the properties. And that's the, yeah, there's nothing more mysterious than that. But it's a favorite of some people is to make them mysterious.
Right.
Ghostly.
Right. So there was something I read this week that at CERN a scientist had claimed that neutrinos had traveled faster than light. Is that would that surprise you? You've seen a lot of scientific theories in your lifetime. Do you imagine there are any theories in 100 years' time that will still stand the test of time, or do you imagine many of the things we think today will be overthrown, will be seen to be superseded or wrong?
Sure, it could be. Not many things, I think, because our theories today are self-consistent.
Right.
So the things that we accept now are probably very, very correct and not phony. We have a lot of confidence in it. That's the problem.
I understand. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lederman, for doing this. It's such a fun little event. But my name's Anne, and I was going to ask you about the same thing, but I'll ask you something different instead. So, when did you first become interested in science? When did you first know you wanted to be a scientist?
Let's see, I think I was 3.
Perfect.
Kidding. No, I was interested in chemistry in high school. That was my basic interest. And towards the end of high school, I was drawn more to physics. So that when I got to college, I became a physics major.
Just stuck with it. That's wonderful. Cool. Well, thank you for doing this today. This is really neat. Have a good day.
As a scientist myself, how do I do a better job of getting my message across? Because I feel like I'm writing papers and I'm not sort of getting any sort of bang for my buck.
What do you do for a living?
Biophysics and liquid matter of ionic solutions, electrolytes.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's great stuff. And I do a little bit in, in this question or in scientifically? Scientifically, these biological ion channels that can select the kinds of ions that they conduct, and also nanofluidic devices where you have a charged slit and you push ions through and you make current. And I think I can reproduce the data on a lot of things, but I don't feel like I'm sort of that people are really recognizing or understanding, that I exist.
Do you? Does somebody pay you for what you do?
Oh yeah.
So you're a salaried, honest man.
Yes, I even got tenure at the beginning of the year.
Oh wow.
So yeah. No, I'm over at Rush University Medical Center.
Okay. So I don't see what is the question?
Well, when you apply for grants, I always feel like nobody knows who I am, or even though I seem to publish all this stuff, and I don't feel like people are citing my work. So I don't feel like I feel like the problem is mine because I'm not sort of apparently able to communicate better. Is there a trick that you found that besides doing really
well? There's a very common is for a certain amount of frustration, in that you're missing the big. Nobody's blowing a bugle when your paper comes up.
Yeah.
So what
it's completely normal.
Yeah, I think what do? Well, you want to give talks. Clearly you want to give as many talks as you can, and that's very positive. And then you want to write as many papers as you can, and that's another positive thing.
Yeah. How do I get people to read them?
Huh?
How do I get people to read them? I'm trying to come up with better titles, but.
Yeah, I mean, the quest for fame.
No, it's not fame, but it's even
well,
just, it helps in the grant process and all of that. The much more practical things is what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
but,
that's right. Yeah, I don't know what you do to improve that except to keep publishing.
Okay.
Keep publishing.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Good to meet you.
Good luck.
I don't have a question.
Oh.
I never had a chance to shake your hand while my son was at IMSA.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now, if you'll allow me, I'd like to shake your hand to thank you for your inspirational guidance and leadership at the school. Okay, and we are indebted to you.
Is he graduated now?
Yes, he's 4 years removed from college. He hopes to be a lawyer.
Oh, wonderful. Wow.
A lawyer!
Wow.
I am an obstetrician gynecologist. That's what I told him too. A lawyer?
Maybe something in science.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've been asked 100 times today, but what do you think about the neutrinos going faster than the speed of light?
Yeah, I'm very skeptical about this, and if you read it, they don't make such a claim.
Right, okay.
They say they make a claim, but they hedge it.
That it'll take 6 to 8 months to actually verify that CERN has discussed it, so Fermilab's commented, but that even if it's true, that it would be an extension to the rule rather than a complete 180.
Okay.
That's according to them.
Okay. Now, a more vague question. Space and matter, or mass, space and mass. What do you see as being in the big picture of things, the relationship there?
Space.
I know it's kind of an odd question.
What is the question?
Mass and space. In the big picture, what's the relationship there? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know that there is a relationship because, space is a vague concept.
Right.
And you can define it specifically, but I don't see how you connect them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So all these reports about higher velocities are not confirmed.
Okay. All right. And then one thing, would you sign something for me? It's a big picture of it's a photo of a bubble chamber from Fermilab. And I thought it looked nice. I was going to put it up on my wall, and I thought maybe you could sign it for me. Is that okay? It's big. Is there a good place to put it here?
Is it quick to open?
Yeah, it's quick to open. I just don't know if there's a place to put it here. Get it.
I know.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
It's in here somewhere. Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah. Figure. Something different, huh?
Oh, that's
cute.
cute.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to do something perfect.
Yeah, right.
Space is infinite, and it's infinite. Is there another you in another universe instead of sitting here answering questions? Maybe going to the beach with the infinite number of personalities, exactly the same ear structure, everything, same personality. Is that probable?
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time. Okay, one more question. On a black hole, you have things swallow it are swallowed into a black hole, like maybe information. Is that information lost if it goes into a black hole, or?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. It's a good question, and I don't know how the theoretical physicists deal with it.
Would it be like if you had a piece of paper and the information, the thought is on the paper, and you burn the paper, and the physical part of the thought is gone, but is the thought gone? I guess it's
No. That's not a good answer.
Good. It's not an
example. No. In a sense, I don't know what are you worried about?
I'm not worried.
You know, good.
The guy before me had the question I wanted to ask. And I was thinking I got to think of something. I don't know what to think of. But okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
I
luck.
don't really have a big question to ask. I just wanted to sit in your presence and say, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah. And I don't know much, like about physics or anything like that. I was telling the lady over there that something that's gone through my mind lately, because I always liked physics, but I never quite totally got it. And I grew up in a time when maybe there was just one girl in a physics class, and I had this idea, because I'm a nurse, I have this idea that I think that I get a better understanding of it since I have less estrogen and more testosterone, because as I do my daughter's science projects, I understand things for the first time that I never understood before.
Wow.
So
great.
Have you ever been aware of Thinking at the Edge? Have you ever Thinking at the Edge with Nada Lu? Thinking at the Edge. It's work that's done with Eugene Gendlin's Focusing Institute and in New York.
Not familiar with it.
No.
New York. Well, if it's from New York, it's probably okay.
Can I shake your hand? Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Emilio Bramsten. A quick question. Actually, I have two questions. The first one is, given the concern about nuclear energy and energy generated from fossil fuels, how do you think we will generate energy in the future?
Oh. Well, first of all, I'm not sure that the question is there a problem? We have ways of generating energy now. Okay, and we could generate a lot of energy, right? And the world is working everywhere, lights everywhere. And so there's no proof that you will run out of the sources of energy that we're using. In other words, that's an open question. My guess is that when it gets to be the kind of energy we're using now, call it coal or oil or some such thing, it may be that it will never run out. It'll never go. But if one kind runs out, we will know about its danger and invent some new device that'll keep us going. So I'm very confident that that's not a problem.
Okay, then last question is, I just read an article in a German newspaper that European scientists believe that there may be particles or energy that move faster than light. It was just in the news.
Yeah, about 15 people.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
yeah, the answer is they don't. There's some evidence, but it's not conclusive.
It's not conclusive in that Fermi Lab is doing more experiments. Within the next 6 to 8 months, they'll see if it's verified.
Yeah. So come back in 6 to 8 months.
I will. I hope you're around here again.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi.
It better be good.
I hope so too. Hi, my name's Miriam, and I have like an obsession with teleportation. Obsession with teleportation. For instance,
yes,
today I was so late to come here, and I wish that I could have teleported.
Oh, you want to teleport?
Yeah, but
you really want to teleport.
I do. I would sign up for the test subjects. But I wonder what your take is on teleportation, like if it's possible, and what would be the necessary considerations?
I don't know whether it's possible. In fact, and I'm not even sure I know what the definition is of teleportation. Is it that you transmit your psyche from here to there, or your whims from here to there, or your total knowledge? I don't know. You'd have to explain to me what the definition of teleportation really is. What is it that's being teleported? Then I would say, okay, if that's what teleportation is, now we could examine the evidence for teleportation. Probably we wouldn't have any evidence for it.
So that's when you call me and you test me out, right?
Right.
That's right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
much. Dr. Letterman, just as maybe one potential definition, would it be possible, do you think it's conceivable that the physical particles that make up a person could be broken down and then reconstituted elsewhere?
Boy, it would be some job.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I don't know of that. You're saying, is this particular kind of thing possible? And I would say, well, I don't know. Well, you have to tell me in detail what you do. And probably the answer to that is nobody has a definition that would produce this. Now, one of the world's greatest artists just walked over. I have a question.
Oh, hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. Go ahead.
There's a line, and you broke the line.
I don't want to take that too much. What was it you said we should ask him about?
She was asking about teleportation, and I said talk about quantum entanglement.
Okay, she's right.
Okay, I'll bother her about that. I think you have an artist